So I went to see them at the Marquee and fell in love with them and met them, and they ran backstage after the show, and then I was sort of talking their ear off about how much I love the band, and just I love this song and that song, and I was obsessed with Rob's drumming because I was an aspiring drummer, and I was just completely blown away by what he was doing. And also by the band, and then the Lips, you know, and the songs, and it was so heavy. I mean, it was one of the heaviest shows I ever saw. And so what happened was they had not been to London before, and they said, would you show us around? So the next day I ended up taking them to Carnaby Street, Abbey Road, Westminster Abbey, you know, and just Anvil at Westminster Abbey. That was a cultural event.
Yeah.
And so what happened was they were very cool, and the whole thing with Anvil, which I didn't understand, is Anvil was very much like an inclusive band. Like if you were a fan, they kind of treated you like family. So there are people in the film like Cut Loose and Mad Dog who were just like fans who they said, hey, come on the road with us. And they kind of did the same with me. They said, look, you know, if you're around next summer during your school holidays, we're doing a tour, do you want to come and roadie for us? So I basically made an excuse, went to visit my dad in the States. My parents had divorced, and I got on a train to Toronto and joined the tour, you know. Right. Anyway, so but the point was, I was sort of, and then the real thing for me was being able to stand behind Rob Reiner and watch him play. And you know, even after watching like 15 gigs, I had no idea what he was doing, which was really infuriating. But anyway, the point being, it was like incredible proximity to my mind, one of the greatest drummers ever in the history of metal, right? So, plus hanging out, and it was really fun, you know, and I was this young kid, and they gave me an Anvil nickname, which was Teabag. I can't really get into detail, but it was nothing. It was because I was English.
Yeah.
And he gave me the nickname.
He's Uncle Gomez now.
That's another story. So anyway, so the thing was that, you know, I sort of then like toured with them a few times, and I would go to Toronto and I would see them. But, you know, kind of by the mid-'80s, we lost touch, and then I was out of touch with them for 20 years.
Yeah.
3 years ago, summer of 2005, it just came into my mind, what the fuck happened to my old buddies? And I looked them up. And unlike all the bands that they had so famously influenced, you know, Anvil had never really broken through and made it in the way that those bands had. So I was like, well, what happened? And I didn't really know what had happened. So I wrote an email to the website, to anvilmetal.tk, and I got this email back from him, who I didn't even know was receiving the email, saying, Teabag, we thought you died or became a lawyer. And I informed him that, in fact, both events had occurred. And I'd left law school, and I was just like... Anyway, so basically, cut a long story short, he 2 weeks later, he flew out to LA. I took him to see a friend of mine's house, and it was this guy called Steve's Alien, who's a... Okay, so I was hanging at Steve's, and I was at the kitchen window, with Steve, watching Lips explain speed metal to Steve's wife Elizabeth, and he was like trying to explain it to her, and they were talking about politics and various other things. And I just said to Steve, I mean, it's incredible, they just never gave up.
Yeah.
And they still want it and believe that it can happen. And so at that moment I decided I had to make a film. And then Lips can continue the story, because then I took him to my Uncle Marty's house and I sat you down.
Yeah, man, he told me he's going to make a movie. I flipped out. Because I realized that all the struggle was so that they could make a movie about it.